today we will cover all about my 4-step plan to crush this next bull market in 2024 and going into 2025. So now really is the time to be paying attention to the market, as all signs are indicating that this is the start of the crypto bull run by all metrics. So 2024 will be a great year for crypto investors because 3 or even 4 huge catalysts are coming to the market. So we have the Bitcoin spot ETF approval, we have the Bitcoin halving coming down, we have the US presidential election year being the entirety of 2024, and we have QE coming from the US Fed, most likely by the end of 2024. So all of these 4 events are huge that will add up all together to make 2024 a great time to get into crypto. So we're going to talk all about my 4-step plan to get prepared now, so you don't, not only do you not miss the boat, but you also have an exit plan way early before the cycle actually starts and everyone gets overly euphoric, so that you can you avoid being trapped by the end of the bull market, because things, whatever goes up, things always come down. So, okay, before we get started, welcome everyone. If you're new here to the channel, my name is Dennis. I'm a crypto angel investor for the past 5 years, and I have invested in over 100 crypto companies. On this channel, I share my views on market trends and investing strategy to build wealth in crypto. Now, if you guys are interested to join our community before we get started, make sure to head down to the description and join our Discord, discord.gg/VirtualBacon. That is where all of the community discussion is going on. This is where I post altcoin alpha, all my trade alerts, daily chart analysis as well. So make sure to join our Discord for a free VIP program as well. There's no cost at all. Beginning of the steps will be very easy, and as we get later and later on, it will become much more important and will help you not only enter the market but exit the market. So what are these 4 steps, right? I think number 1 by far is that you need to have Bitcoin and Ethereum in your portfolio as a large percentage. Now, obviously, people always say this, DCA, buy Bitcoin, Ethereum, whatever, right? But exactly how much should you hold of Bitcoin and Ethereum in your portfolio? And does that make sense? Are you missing out on extra gains versus, by holding Bitcoin and Ethereum versus other altcoins? So I'll give you guys my perspective on this. Right now, I actually just finished doing my 2024 portfolio video. And just to give you a sneak peek, currently my portfolio is made up of still the same percentage of Bitcoin and Ethereum from last year, which is I have 25% in Bitcoin, 25% in Ethereum. Now, why is this the case? Why do I always keep these high percentages? So the basis of my portfolio strategy long-term is always heavily focused on safe assets. This is why I always have half of it in Bitcoin and Ethereum. And no, I'm not saying that Bitcoin will hit $1 million in this cycle. I think that's highly unlikely. My realistic price prediction, even on the optimistic side, I think it's going to be around 200K per Bitcoin and 15K per Ethereum. So that is about 5.5x returns for Bitcoin coming from 36,000 and about a 7.5x return for Ethereum from 2,000. So those are not 100x returns that you could get on some low cap altcoins. But it still makes a ton of sense to keep a large percentage of your portfolio in Bitcoin and Ethereum because, number 1, it helps you balance your portfolio, right? So by always having Bitcoin and Ethereum, you know that half of your portfolio is not going to fluctuate that much. And especially at this time of the market, when things are starting to take up and when Bitcoin and Ethereum have dropped 75% from the top and have only gone up 1x from the bottom, not even 1x for Bitcoin. And it's still relatively cheap, all things considered. So the chances of Bitcoin and Ethereum losing money in the next 2 years are quite low, right? I give it at least 80% chance that we will see Bitcoin and Ethereum make new highs. I think that's highly likely. So with that being the basis, you know that no matter what, you have that 50% of your portfolio that will grow. And it will grow probably at least 2x. Really optimistically, it's going to grow, 6 to 7x. So that's the basis, right? That's number one. And number two is that, well, all of the entire crypto market depends on Bitcoin and Ethereum, right? So when you go on any coin tracker site like CoinGecko, CoinMarketCap, Bubble, crypto bubbles, for example, the market always moves up and down together, right? Dictated by Bitcoin and Ethereum. So if you don't track the prices of Bitcoin and Ethereum, you won't have a clear idea of if your altcoin is going up by itself, that it's performing the market, or if it's actually just being held up with a Bitcoin move, right? So this is why I always have Bitcoin and Ethereum exposure, because even if, I see a potential altcoin going up, I can compare it to that day's performance of that altcoin versus Bitcoin and Ethereum and see, okay, this altcoin is actually going up faster. So then something must be happening. Some major news is coming up, or maybe it's potentially undervalued. That is a clear comparison you need to make all the time. And you can only do so by having exposure to Bitcoin and Ethereum. Okay, that's number two. And number three is that, well, some people just like having Bitcoin, but I really think Ethereum is no longer just another altcoin, right? So few things to consider about this, right? So number one is that Ethereum's market dominance is super high right now, right? So when you look at Ethereum's market dominance on TradingView or on CoinGecko, Ethereum takes up almost 20% of the crypto market right now. It takes up 16.9%. And this dominance chart, can I find it here? I cannot find it. So this dominance chart you can find on TradingView anytime, just going by ETHD. And you see Ethereum dominance over the entire crypto market has kept the same level between 17% to 20% for 2.5 years. So Ethereum really is a very large part of the entire crypto market. So if you only track Bitcoin, you miss out on a lot of the signals that Ethereum is giving. And putting this in another perspective, if Ethereum dies, right, or if Ethereum drops 60%, 50-60% in market dominance, that's a huge move in the entire market. So that means, well, maybe some of Ethereum's related sectors will also drop as well, or potentially some other players are replacing Ethereum. So this is why I always track Bitcoin and Ethereum both as the baseline in my portfolio. And this is why I have both of them with 25% today. So this is number one step, right? I think everyone should have a large percentage of their portfolio in Bitcoin and Ethereum, much larger than any other altcoins. It doesn't have to be exactly like what I have, but I think it should be the largest two holdings. That's first step. Okay, now moving on to second step, which is I think everyone should identify 2 to 3 sectors of altcoins that you have a major interest in and you think you understand well in order to focus on for the next bull run. Now, again, let's go back to my portfolio sneak peek, right? I don't want to show you guys my full altcoins breakdown, but I do want to show you the percentage breakdown. So I have actually how many sectors right now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 sectors exactly. And they are things like gaming, DeFi, infrastructure, layer 1, layer 2. There's AI, there's meme coin, there's gambling, there's social, right? So these are all very typical sectors in crypto. Now, I am super active in this space and I understand these sectors really well. And there are still some sectors I don't touch that I haven't gone into, for example, like Bitcoin, ordinals, NFT marketplaces, etc. I don't touch them as much, but I am able to handle about 5 large sectors, right? If you really have to group these into large sectors, right? DeFi, gaming, AI. I think cross-chain is under DeFi, right? GambleFi is also kind of under DeFi. And then you have social media, which is its own, and then infra. So I think about 5 large sectors is what I like to tackle. Now, for most people, I don't think you can do 5. I think maximum, I would recommend 2 or 3 sectors for you to focus on. Now, my strongest conviction, just based on my portfolio breakdown right now, are gaming, DeFi, and AI. So gaming and DeFi sectors, I have about 10% each in my portfolio. And I really think these are 2 sectors that will continue to survive the market multiple cycles. So this is kind of where my portfolio stands right now. I think it's also worth mentioning that not all sectors that were popular in the last cycle will do well in this new cycle. This is something that is very important to understand for newcomers to crypto. Crypto investors really like to move on to new narratives, the shiny new things. So this is why things like layer 1 blockchains, even though they are big, they have big ambitions, this infrastructure type of stuff, it's becoming very overplayed and overdone. And even layer 2s are becoming overdone very quickly. So I would recommend for newcomers especially, to focus on new things instead of older things. Now, there is a certain period of the cycle where the older projects that fundamentally were still strong and were just super suppressed in price will start to take up. And this is where we are right now in the cycle. This is why we're seeing things like Solana, Avalanche, Chainlink, things like what else is popping? So the typical players like Polygon, for example, Arbitrum, the things that were really popular in the cycle 2 years ago, they are fundamentally, they're still strong and they're relevant enough to have another run. But will these things have exponential returns in the next cycle? I think chances are no. So this is another thing you have to pay attention to. And this actually ties into the number 3 part, which we are going to get into right after. Okay, so that's number 2 step. To summarize, identify 2 to 3 sectors that you have major interest in, that you understand, and stick to them, right? You don't need to tackle everything. Just 2 or 3, I think, is a realistic target for most people. So some helpful things to get you started. You can check our channel, right? So we have a whole plethora of these sectors, right? So if you're interested in layer 2 blockchains, I covered essentially every single layer 2 project and what I think about them, ranking them in tier list. This is where you should start for infrastructure layer 1, layer 2s. If you're looking for AI, this AI crypto one is a really good place. And also my latest video on November video for AI, this is a really good one to watch. If you are into meme coins, this is the only video you need. If you are into things like gaming, then I would definitely check out this video, this live stream we did, where I broke down not only my top 5 gaming projects, but also some of the undervalued gems that are not necessarily that popular yet. I also have a follow-up for this as well, where I'm going to cover real playable games right now from a playtest perspective. Another type of layer 1 blockchain, if you're really still looking at layer 1 blockchains that are competitors to Ethereum, I would check out this top Web3 crypto video, where I covered 5 crypto blockchains that are not copying Ethereum, but doing something very different and could still have grab some market share. So this is one to check out. And yeah, and also for layer 1s, I think Cosmos ecosystem is making a comeback, so check out this Cosmos video as well. So overall, I get this criticism a lot, right? Where I cover too many sectors, it's hard to follow. I get that. I have about 5 sectors in my portfolio right now. I am able to handle that because this is my job, right? I look at most of the popular sectors in order to understand everything. But I do think you need the focus, right? So for most people, 2 to 3 sectors is best, is really a sweet spot. So yeah, that's what I would say. Okay, so that's number 2. Number 3 step, let me get right into that after. Okay, quick drink. So number 3 step is you really need to understand the major market forces that's driving not only crypto, not only Bitcoin, but also the entire market. So you need to understand both the positive and negative events. Now, I would even say classify these as macro events, not necessarily macroeconomics, but just macro general global events that are pushing liquidity in either direction for the entire space. So what are they? Number 1 is the Bitcoin spot ETF that is likely coming in January 2024, if not by latest March 2024. I'm not ranking these by significance. I think you need to know all of these, but I'm going through them just in the chronological order. So to get a sense of this, you really should watch my video on the Bitcoin ETF approval date. So this one, real percentage estimate. So this one will give you the latest estimate and latest deadlines for when the Bitcoin ETF will get approved. TLDR is that January 2024, I think 80 to 90% chance we will see the Bitcoin ETF come in the first week of January. If not, then they should extend to the final deadline in March 2024. TLDR. So that's the number 1 thing you need to know. Number 2 is that when is the Bitcoin halving and what is the exact effects of the Bitcoin halving typically? So to find this, it's very easy, right? Just look up Bitcoin halving date on Google, and first thing here, right? You see it'll tell you Bitcoin halving day April 2024. Put this date on your calendar because this is a super important date. Now, if this is your first cycle in Bitcoin and in crypto, understand that the Bitcoin halving really is the anchor point of the Bitcoin and crypto 4-year cycle. And a quick overview of the typical cycle times is that usually the one year before the Bitcoin halving happens, I would say even 1.5 years before the Bitcoin halving happens, is kind of a sideways period. So I covered this in my Bitcoin cycles video, Bitcoin price prediction by cycles video, where we looked at the 2016 cycle, 2021 cycle, both played out very similarly. And if you want to look back to the 2012 cycle, even it was very similar as well. So we usually have about 1.5 years of sideways before the Bitcoin halving happens. So this is from end of 2022 until March 2024, right? So if you look at current Bitcoin price, and one thing you can do is draw out the Bitcoin halving events here, and then you can put a rainbow chart here. So you see until the next halving happens in April next year, you give that a date range from April 2024 going back to about let's see here, to about, how many days is this? Why is it not showing text label? Wait, here. So that's about 600 days. Yeah, it's just about right? So when you consider really where Bitcoin's downtrend pretty much ended, right around 20K, right? So that gives us 665 days of potentially sideways move. Now, you can even say that this cycle is getting started quite a bit earlier. I tend to agree, because usually we like to see this sideways period about 500 days. So the fact that it extends all the way out to 660 days is quite long. So keep that in mind. But all things considered, this sideways period is coming to an end very soon based on previous Bitcoin halving cycles. So knowing when the Bitcoin halving event comes is super important, and that is April 2024. If you want to see a full cycle breakdown, right, make sure to watch my Bitcoin price prediction video here. So these two videos is what you need. The Bitcoin price prediction video based on cycles, as well as Bitcoin entry and exit plan. And I believe in this video, I even gave a much clearer cycle. Yeah, this video, I showed much clearer cycle analysis here. Okay, so that's number 2 thing you need to know. Number 3 is that the Fed is most likely going to start quantitative easing again by the end of 2024. What is the exact date of this? And what is the effect of this, right? So right now, a lot of people are still saying, oh, what if we are in a recession already? Or what if the recession is coming? Can this actually happen? Will people have another panic? The answer is yes, right? I think there could be a panic period in the first half of 2024 before the end of 2024. This is because if you guys have been following the FOMC meetings every few months, the Fed, while they have pretty much paused interest rate hikes, if maybe there could be one last hike, but most likely it will be paused starting 2024, they will still keep the interest rates at the same high level until the end of 2024. And this is when rates are still high and the money printer is not turned back on yet. So in order for us to get into a speculative market again, where the market is getting a lot of stimulation and for the money printer to turn back on, we need the Fed to start cutting interest rates and start printing money again. And this will likely happen by the end of 2024, right? So one really important tool that you need to watch is this CME Fed Watch tool. So this is by far the best data that you can get without going into like 100 other news articles that all say different things, right? So this is real percentage estimates from all the top financial analysts. So going on this, you can find this on Google, it's all free, and you can find the probabilities target rate here. And take a look at this bottom one here. So what you're looking for is this ease period, right? So while the rates are paused now, we need to know when quantitative easing will happen, right? So most analysts agree that after September 2024, right, between September to December 2024, there is a 95 to 99% chance that the Fed will start cutting rates and turn the money printer back on. This is super important because even if we get another recession, people are panicking, by the end of 2024, that will finish. Because once the money printer turns back on, the stimulation will come and prices will rise because there will be more money in the market. Borrowing money will be cheaper to invest. Cycle repeats, right? So this is coming end of 2024, and this is another event that you absolutely must know by precise dates. Okay, and the last event you need to watch, right, in this step of the plan is the U.S. presidential elections. We know that 2024 is the election year, but what is the timeline, right? And what are the effects that it will likely have? So again, you can Google this, right? 2024 U.S. presidential election dates. And you'll see that starting in January of next year, both parties will start their campaigns throughout every single state. They will pitch, they will announce their campaigns, and a lot of that will involve things like CBDC, their taxation on Bitcoin, on cryptocurrency, how they like to treat cryptocurrency, and some parties' representatives definitely will have pro-Bitcoin and pro-crypto policies, right? So even if they don't have pro-crypto policies, which is highly unlikely, they will still have pro-financial market promises that they will make. For example, oh, we're going to cut rates early, or we're going to print a lot of money. We're going to do this and that, right? Support this down market, right? Because people have lost so much money for the past 2-3 years. So this is why the election year is another bullish event that you must follow. And you need to know the specific dates, which is that throughout 2024, there will be many, many of these campaign events. And the actual election dates will be coming on November 5th, 2024, right? This is the actual presidential election date. So once this happens, that will be kind of the boiling point where things are, looking the brightest. And this is usually when the euphoria will tend to start, right? So that's the number 4 big date you need to watch in 2024. So, okay, that's overall number 3 step, which is understanding the 4 main market events that's pushing the entire crypto and financial market in next year. Number 1, Bitcoin spot ETF. Number 2, Bitcoin halving. Number 3, Fed quantitative easing. And number 4, US presidential election. Keep these 4 events in your head and draw them down in a calendar. Okay, now with that in mind, we know that 2024 will be bullish because the entire year is filled with events. Then what's going to look like for end of 2024 and beginning of 2025, right? How do we plan our exit? If we know that prices will be most likely be significantly higher by the end of 2024, well, when is the end? Is it going to be multiple years, many, many years, or is it going to be a 2-year cycle again? Or is it maybe going to be even a shorter cycle, right? Where the market tops out in early 2025. So in order to best prepare ourselves, this is the 4th step and in my opinion, the most important step, which is to have an exit plan based on everything we just discussed. And how I like to have my exit plan is 3 steps. So I like to place 3 conditions in my exit plan that not only considers time, but also price target and also price pattern. So I have specifically 3 exit conditions that I have already laid out in my Bitcoin investing plan for 2024 video. So it's this one here, Bitcoin investing plan for 2024. You guys should go watch this. You can find on the channel here. But essentially, in order to be best prepared and have the most conservative scenario, so I don't get trapped in another bull cycle euphoria stage again, I like to have a Bitcoin price target as well as a time frame that I limit myself that I must exit out of the market, and also lastly a price pattern that I need to watch. And if Bitcoin breaks that price pattern, I also 100% exit the market. So I'll show you that in depth right now. So number 1 is the price target. Now, my price prediction, price target, whatever you want to call it, on an average level, I would say is around $200,000 per Bitcoin. I think that will be really nice. That's not overly euphoric, in my opinion. It is based on the market cycles and also based on diminishing returns of Bitcoin as well. So translating that to Ethereum as well, that's around 15K. So that's number 1. If Bitcoin hits 200K and around the same time Ethereum hits 15K, that is my signal to essentially exit majority of the crypto market. I would even dare to say exit every position. Is it possible that I miss out on certain things? Of course it is. But is that really worth chasing once Bitcoin is already at 200K? I think not. I think that is, you don't want to be too greedy, right? So imagine if you present this to any other investor in the world and say, okay, in 2 years' time, you can make, by a quite high chance, a 6x return from current price of Bitcoin and Ethereum. Everyone will take that bet with you, right? So don't be too greedy. just exit when the target is enough, right? So that's number one. Number two is that, well, what if Bitcoin doesn't hit the 200K level, but it just extends very slowly and it kind of runs out of time and the cycle kind of repeats again in the 4-year cycle? And this is my second thing, which is that I want to have a time limit in order for me to exit the market, right? So when you look at the previous halving cycles here, so typically after the Bitcoin halving happens, we usually have about 1 year to 1.5 years of bull market, of really euphoric uptrend in crypto. So after the 2012 Bitcoin halving, it lasted about 1 year. And then after the 2016 Bitcoin halving, the bull market lasted about 1.5 years, 550 days. And if you look at the latest Bitcoin halving and you map that here, right, to the cycle top, right around here, again, that is very similar, right? So that's 550 days. So again, that's about 1.5 years. So all things considered, if you limit yourself to completely exit out of the market 1.5 years after the Bitcoin halving, that is a very good plan. That's my second exit condition, which is that 2 years after the 2024, 1.5 years after the 2024 Bitcoin halving, I will exit the market no matter what, even if Bitcoin doesn't hit 200K. So what does that look like on the time frame, right? So if we can draw this out, 550 days from accounting from April 2024, right? So that gives us October 13th, 2025. So let's say end of 2025, most likely I will sell all my crypto. This is just a safe bet, right? Even if you're super long-term bullish on Bitcoin, on Ethereum, etc., chances are things will fluctuate still. And chances are, if we get a euphoric top, it will happen in this period. And I would not like to get caught holding the bags again in another cycle. So this is my second condition in the exit plan. I will sell everything before the end of 2025. Okay, that's number two. Number three is that if during this period, Bitcoin doesn't hit 200K and this period doesn't run out, but Bitcoin can still make a early top and give me an exit condition by showing something on the price. And that is the long-term price break below the long-term supports. So for this, two typical things you can look out for. Number one is the exponential moving average. I've talked about this time and time again, right? So typically in a bull market, you will be looking at the 21 weekly exponential moving average. This average line right here, this blue average line. You can find this on TradingView by just typing in exponential moving average and then changing the settings, the input settings to 21 and make sure you're on the weekly time frame. So you see this level usually acts as the bull market support, right? In a bull market, price may touch this level, but it doesn't break below it. And once price clearly breaks below this level, that usually is your signal to exit. And similarly, in a bear market, you see it stays below this level until it finally breaks above, then it's a bullish period again. This also played out quite well in the 2021 bull market. You see, throughout this bull run, price stayed above it, and then the first time it crashed below, this was a great time to sell, right? Sure, price had another run up above it, but Bitcoin didn't make a new high, right? So the previous high at 60K, new high at 65, is that worth chasing? I don't think so, right? So all things considered, if you use this signal as your number 3 exit strategy, that's going to protect you a lot more. right? So right now we are trading above the 21 weekly EMA, which means this is bullish. And you see this level is quite far away from us as well. So as long as Bitcoin continues to bounce above this exponential moving average, we will be good. But once Bitcoin closes above this exponential moving average, that's going to be an exit signal for me. There are a few other similar signals you can track as well. For example, a 200 daily exponential moving average, which will look very similar to the 21 week in terms of signal. So you see here, again, this level acted as support in the bull run, resistance in a bear market, and then in the 2021 bull run, right, it stayed above this support level throughout the whole bull period. And then once it crashed below it, this is where you should have exited, right? And even if you kept it, the second time it crashed below it, you would have exited Bitcoin at 49 to 50K, which would have been great, right? December 2021, that would have been fantastic exit. Most of the altcoins were still around all-time highs here. So now that we are trading above the 21 weekly EMA or 200 daily EMA, it needs to hold above there. If you guys want to see this more in depth as well, again, you should go check out my full Bitcoin investing plan video for 2024, where I covered this exact strategy more in depth. And I also give you kind of a more day-to-day look of what this can look like, which is that you are not only looking at the EMA level, but you're also looking at higher highs and higher lows and when the uptrend breaks. But usually you see here, exit point here from previous bull markets, right? Entry point, exit point. So that's my number 3 condition in the exit strategy. Okay, quick summary of my exit strategy, right? So let me just give you my clear notes here. Exit plan. If any of the 3 conditions are met, I will exit the bull run, right? So, and these 3 conditions, they do not overlap because they're based on, one of them is based on price, another based on time horizon, and another is based on price pattern, right? So this is my exit plan. If any of the 3 conditions are met, make a full exit and never look back. Number 1 is that if Bitcoin hits 200K and if Ethereum hits 15K. Number 2 is that by the end of 2025, I will exit no matter what. And number 3 is that if Bitcoin makes a long-term lower high and breaks the long-term support, aka the 200 daily EMA or the 21 weekly EMA, that's also another exit trigger for me. So I don't need all 3 to trigger. If any of the 3 triggers, I will exit. This way, you are protected no matter what. Okay, so that's exit plan. And in my opinion, if you want any takeaway from today's video, that exit plan part is the most important thing you can have. The market is starting to get very easy, right? Especially in this period where everything is just going up after so much price suppression in the past 2.5 years. People will say whatever they want to say. They will say, oh, like this is the epic big Bitcoin bull run that's going to last 5 years, right? More and more of these narratives will come up to get you trapped in the market as we get into 2024, because things will look really good, of course. But considering history and considering nobody really knows what they're doing aside from previous price cycles, previous Bitcoin cycles, chances are it will be whatever goes up will still come down, right? So really having this exit plan now when the euphoria is not fully kicked in yet, that, you know, you're not fully bought into, I'm going to hold Bitcoin for forever type of scenario, is really important, right? So forming this exit plan now will really help you, because come next year, 6 months from now, market is very, very good. It will be much harder to give yourself a strict plan at that point. Okay, so that's my whole shebang for today. That's my 4-step plan. I'm going to try to lay this out in the chapters after the live stream, right? But just quick one last recap. What are the 4 steps? Number 1, hold Bitcoin and Ethereum long-term in your portfolio as a large percentage, as this helps you always gain exposure and helps you curb the FOMO in missing out certain altcoins. Number 2 step, identify 2 to 3 major sectors in altcoins that you want to dive deep in and you understand you have a significant interest. You don't have to do everything, right? Number 3, understand the major market forces when the events are happening in 2024 and how they play into the Bitcoin cycles and the crypto cycles. So the main events, Bitcoin spot ETF, Bitcoin halving, quantitative easing coming from US Fed and US presidential election. And number 4 step is to have an exit plan in place now before the bull run starts to get euphoric. Hopefully the portfolio guide and the exit plan is helpful for you guys. I think if any takeaway, you should really look at the exit plan. That is my exit plan exactly. You can change it however you want. You can be more aggressive to it. You can change the price targets for Bitcoin, Ethereum. You can change even the time frame to be even much shorter, so you become more conservative. Or even if you are super bullish and you think Bitcoin can at least hit 500K, if that's your price target, sure, still have an exit plan in place so that you actually grab those profits when and if they come for you. Because no matter how high you believe Bitcoin, Ethereum will go, they always will still come down eventually. And you always need an exit plan, right? So don't buy into the concept of I'm going to hodl forever. I am a long-term believer in crypto, but you still have to play the cycles. For tuning in, before I go, make sure to follow me on Twitter. I say this every time. Follow me on Twitter or X at VirtualBacon0x. This is where I drop my more in-depth day-to-day crypto alpha, all the research before I go on the live streams. You can find them on Twitter. And lastly, join our Discord, discord.gg/virtualbacon for our free community, free VIP program where we have daily market analysis, trade signals, altcoin alpha, catalyst events, etc., community discussion. If you find anything in there, check it out. This is our best community. Okay, that's it. Thank you guys, and I will see you on the next video, next live stream. Cheers. Bye-bye.